I'm Ash Khanna, and I've been a trainer and author of material relating to interpersonal skills. So I have a website called ipskillstraining.com on which you will be able to see some material that is commonly available and is in use, like, for example, conflict management, negotiations, and that's all part of the interpersonal skills training that one can acquire from many different sources. However, what I also have on the website, which is what I want to draw attention to, is very unique material that relates to things like expectations management. How do you build up expectations, and that, expectations get built up advertently and inadvertently. I also have material relating to appropriate response. You go through difficult situations in life. You don't know how to deal with those situations because these situations are few and far between. Therefore, they are difficult to you. And I have answers as to what one can do to be able to not get into a situation where it leaves long-term scars in your mind, where you think, well, I wish I had done that or said this or whatever. I also have material relating to loyalty versus issue-based. Now, a loyalty-based approach, as you can see, pays its dividends, and especially in corporate world, where you take up for the boss, you are loyal, and the boss sees it as such and recognizes you for the loyalty that you provide to him, and sometimes that is in conflict with situations which are issue-based. That means based on merit. So if you have a situation that causes you a conflict, how do you deal with a situation like that? So I try to provide some answers to that. Now, the whole website, IP Skills Training, has a case study. It's got its analysis. Happens to be a situation where a young management consultant goes into the corporate world and finds himself getting knocked around and finally pays a price because of small innocuous mistakes attributed to lack of good interpersonal skills. The analysis is there, and also I talk about conflict management on this website. Now, conflict management, as one would see, where there are people, there will be conflicts, right? There will be difficult situations, there will be difficult people to deal with, and that's all part and parcel of the corporate world today, and also personal world, right? However, what I'm trying to say here is that it depends on your environment, and it depends on your style. It depends on the type of person you are and what is natural to you. Factoring in all of these conditions makes each situation very unique. And therefore, if you try to address the situation from that can cause potentially are conflicting situations, therefore then you need to be able to get very good, unique to your style, to your abilities, to your what is natural to you, answers, and those answers I try to provide, and I help by providing that on the website. Now, this is the starting point. I've seen a management cassette that says, well, the boss goes to the there's this lady and the boss calls her honey in front of other colleagues in the office, and she doesn't like it. So she goes to these management consultants and they say, well, you have a problem. So what you do is you go to the boss, look him in the eye and say, well, Mr. Boss, probably you don't realize this, but by your doing this to me, calling me honey in front of my colleagues, it upsets me and it causes blah, blah, blah. Now, look him in the eye, take him into the room and say, well, Mr. Boss, I want to try to tell you that this is something that you probably don't realize is happening, but this is what it is. And the boss very nicely apologizes, saying, well, I'm sorry, you brought it to my notice, I didn't realize that it was happening, and therefore everything is hunky-dory. Now, in real life, probably you will not find a situation like that happening very often. Often you will find that it depends on the style, depends on the circumstances of that lady. maybe she didn't have the guts to fix this problem by looking the boss in the eye, asking for personal time on a one-to-one basis in the room, talking straight face with the boss in this way. So what is the answer? And I try to provide an answer depending on the individual's style, factoring in what is natural to the individual for those circumstances. Now, you do have expectations management. What I do talk about in expectations management is that expectations get built up advertently and inadvertently. So to deal with those expectations, the best answer that I have for the individuals is to have a diary, like a to-do list, that looks at the situation not inside out. By that I mean, I'm not writing down what I want to do, but I'm writing down, looking at the situation outside in. What do people expect from me? And it's very important to note that successful people in this world are all people who have had very good expectations management. So, for example, as a business analyst, when I do my work, I find that we have the RACI matrix: responsible, stakeholders, consulted, informed, and so there's some different types of people, right? So, if I don't meet the expectations of each and every one of the different people in the corporate world as well as on the personal side, then I will not be as successful as I could otherwise be. So I'm suggesting that the to-do list that should be created looking at the situation from what people expect from you rather than what you want to do. Loyalty versus issue-based, there is a small anecdote there. There is a vice president of a company who is also the CFO, and at a game of poker in the evening, outside office hours, on an offsite meeting, the CEO actually takes a situation in his hands and changes cards. The CFO provides him just to show to him, and in this process, he's trying to cheat. And people suspect that there is something that is not right, and they ask the CFO, and the CFO coolly says, "Well, you know, I got all my cards back, so therefore." Conniving with the CEO. So therefore, in a situation like that, the guy has gone into a pure loyalty-based approach. So later on, when he was asked, the CFO was asked that, look, why did you go with the CEO? If you had called him out, it would have, of course, been an embarrassment to him, a major embarrassment. But the fact is that if you had called him out, that he had done the wrong thing, that would have been the right thing for you to do. And the CFO says, well, at the time that I joined the company, we agreed that we will support each other, and that's what I've done. And laughingly he says, you know what, the CEO probably doesn't like to lose. So that's not good enough. So this loyalty-based approach pays the dividend to the CFO. But the important thing here to note is that if it had been an issue-based approach, and that's what I'm advocating, that's the issue-based approach for the future, then you don't have to think. You just go with that all the time. So, there might be some dividend that you get from a loyalty-based approach, taking up for your boss, but it's very important for you to get also, you should know at least what is the right thing to do. Now, if you look at a loyalty-based approach, that's most visible in a family life, right? In a family, we take up for each other irrespective of what the merit of the situation is. But what I'm saying is that it's the future, it's the approach for the future. So these are some of the topics that are covered and examples that are covered on this website. There are anecdotes there so that it's easy to relate and get a message. And I welcome you to go to the website and see for yourself.